All right, this is Mr. Barr. I just wanted to give you a lecture on the Bill of Rights. It's our next topic in American government. Those of you that are watching in person, follow along on your notes. Those of you that are watching at home, listen closely and answer the questions on Schoology when you're done. Let's get started. The constitutional amendments, there's 27 of them in the Constitution. We're going to really focus our attention on the first 10 and then a few other ones that we'll talk about toward the end. Let's start with the First Amendment. So the First Amendment has 5 basic freedoms in it: freedom of religion, freedom of the press, freedom of assembly, freedom to petition the government, and freedom of speech. Those are the 5 basic freedoms in the First Amendment: religion, press, assembly, petition, speech. Okay? And we'll talk about freedom of speech more exclusively this week as we look at a couple of court cases involving freedom of speech, some scenarios. We're going to go heavy on the First Amendment. If you take citizens in the Constitution with me, we'll go heavy on the other ones. But for this week and our purpose, we're going to really spend our time on the First Amendment. The Bill of Rights is critical for you to know about because these are the rights that you as an individual have. You are protected. These rights are guaranteed to you by the Constitution, and the more you know, the better it is to defend your rights and stand up for them when they're being violated. The Second Amendment is the right to keep and bear arms. It says a well-regulated militia being necessary for the security of the free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Okay? The right to keep and bear arms is protected, and the Supreme Court has said that that gives you the right to own and carry a firearm for your protection of your home or property, your personal protection, okay, and also to protect the public. All right, but states can put reasonable restrictions on, like you have to have a permit, take a class. Again, citizens in the Constitution will be a good class for you if you're more interested in the Second Amendment. The Third Amendment provides no quartering of troops in private homes without the consent of homeowners. And that may seem ridiculous now, but in the 1790s, when this was written, Britain used to do that to us. They would send soldiers that we were fighting against and were killing our family members, in some cases, we'd have to stay in our houses, and we'd have to feed them and provide for them without our consent. So it was a big deal to the founding fathers. They wanted to make sure that that didn't happen again. So they did put that in there. But for our purposes in 2020, it's not a very practical amendment. Okay, the Fourth Amendment protects against unreasonable searches and seizures. Okay, you don't need to write the parentheses part down, but essentially you have to have a warrant and probable cause in order to search. The Fifth Amendment protects against double jeopardy, which means you can't be tried for the same crime twice. No self-incrimination. You have the right to prevent yourself from saying something that will incriminate yourself. Cannot be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Okay, the Fourth, Fifth, Sixth, Seventh, and Eighth Amendments deal with rights of the accused. Okay, so if you're accused of a crime, the Fourth, Fifth, Sixth, Seventh, and Eighth Amendments are going to really apply to you. You may have heard the expression, I plead the Fifth. It comes from the Fifth Amendment. You have the right not to say anything that's going to incriminate yourself. Okay, the Sixth Amendment provides the right to trial, is what I call the trial rights. Trial by jury, speedy public trial, the right to face your accusers, counsel for your defense, and the right to know the charges against you. Okay, so a trial by jury, a speedy public trial, the right to face your accusers, counsel for your defense, and know the charges against you. That's the Sixth Amendment. And again, these were all things the king did to us, right? So we wanted to make sure that we remedied that problem and it never happened again. The other thing also is that a lot of the states' rights people wouldn't agree to the Constitution without a Bill of Rights being added because they felt that it didn't go far enough to restrict government. They wanted government more restricted and people more protected. So they added the Bill of Rights in order to get the states to approve the Constitution. The Seventh Amendment is another one of those that isn't super practical to today, but you still need to know it. You have the right to a jury trial in a civil case. Think of a civil case like a lawsuit, okay, where the amount involved exceeds $20. So in a civil case, you're suing somebody for something, the amount involved exceeds $20. All this amendment says is that you have the right to a jury trial on that. You don't have to just have a judge trial. The Eighth Amendment protects against excessive bail. There can't be excessive bail and cruel and unusual punishment. This was the amendment that they used to overturn the death penalty, and then the one they used to reinstate it later. All right, the Ninth Amendment. The Ninth and Tenth, I think, are the most important amendments in the Constitution, and they're the ones that hardly anybody knows about, and that's shameful. So we're going to make sure we know these two very well. The Ninth Amendment says that individuals have more rights besides what's listed in the Constitution. It stops government from saying, okay, you have these rights and nothing else. It's not true. You have more rights than just what's listed there. Okay, the 10th Amendment, any powers not granted to the national government are reserved to the states or to the people. So if the national government's not doing it, the states can do it. If it's not explicitly spelled out in the Constitution that the national government can do it, then the states can do it. That's provided in the 10th Amendment. The 10th Amendment creates what we call federalism, and we'll get to federalism a little bit later. Okay, in your notes packet, there's a page in the very back that has a chart that says extend individual rights, structural changes, and extends government power. Okay, so additional amendments to the Constitution do one of the following three things. They extend individual rights, create structural changes to the government of the Constitution, and extend the power of government. Okay, let's go over what amendments do this. All on the test, you're just going to need to know what goes under each heading. Okay, extending individual rights is the 13th Amendment, which abolished slavery. And again, you don't have to know what they do on the test. You just have to be able to give me the number of the amendments. So 13th Amendment, 14th Amendment, equal protection under the law. 19th Amendment gave women the right to vote. Those extended individual rights to more Americans. Okay, structural changes are the 12th Amendment, which changed the Electoral College and the way they vote. We'll talk about that when we get to the executive branch. Don't worry about that now, but just understand that it's the 12th Amendment. The 17th Amendment provided for the direct election of senators. Again, when we get to the legislative branch, we'll talk more about that. Don't worry about it now. And then the 20th Amendment set term limits for the president. Okay, so that created structural changes. The original way it was set up we didn't like, so we changed the way it's structured and operates. And then the final category is extends government power. The 16th Amendment created the income tax. The 18th Amendment created prohibition, the sale of the ban on the sale, consumption, manufacture, and purchase of alcohol in the United States. And then the 21st Amendment repealed or took away prohibition. Okay. All right, that's the Bill of Rights and the other amendments that we need to learn. Make sure your notes packet's filled out. Answer the questions if you're watching at home. And thanks for listening. Have a great day.